Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got our Week 4 college football top 25 rankings. And this week is a very big week for college football. Conference play is starting now. Of course, there has been some games, but now we really kind of dive into the conference play. This is kind of. Uh, I'm just going to keep it short and simple. There's a lot of very, very good games this week. A lot of very meaningful matchups, like ranked teams against ranked teams. There's over five. So yeah, there's a lot of great games this week, and a lot to talk about from last week. Quite a bit of shakeup here in our top 25. We'll start it off. Number 25, Clemson. I have them staying here, so a team that didn't move. I was talking about a lot of shakeup, but trust me, there is. But Clemson has not. I still have them in the top 25. I might be being a little generous here. You know, they didn't look. Okay, so they look bad week one. Everyone knows that. They didn't look all too good. I know they won last week by like 50, but they didn't really look good. This game they looked a little bit better. They didn't struggle early with FAU. They looked better in this game. But their upcoming game, Florida State is coming to them, which makes it a little bit interesting for me. Now, in my season preview video, I actually had Clemson winning this game. Um, it's a little bit of a different scenario than I thought it would be. I thought it would be top 10 game, both these teams undefeated going into it, and a huge, huge game. Clemson's unranked in the AP poll, so a little bit of a different scenario. It is still at Clemson though, which makes it a whole lot more interesting. If this was at Florida State, I don't think there would be much to talk about here. Another reason uh, on Florida State's part, they didn't look very good last week. We'll talk about that more when we get to Florida State. I'm gonna have Florida State winning, but I think it's gonna be close. So I think Clemson gets their second loss of the season, and if Clemson loses, they're gonna be out of the top 25. I can tell you that. But yeah, I think it will be close though. I think Clemson. I don't know. They looked better last week. I know it was against FAU, but I think Clemson does pretty well here. I think they'll get up for this game. I mean, hopefully. I don't know. They didn't look good against Duke, which is a little embarrassing. But I don't know. I think they will get up for this game. But I think Florida State's just the better team here. So I'm gonna take them 34 to 27. Number 24, we got the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now in my top 25, I didn't have them ranked last week. I do now because Kansas State lost to Missouri. By the way, I believe I had Kansas State winning 31-28. Missouri ended up winning by that score. And I said it would be a very close game, and it was. Missouri hit a 61-yard field goal, so good for them. Longest field goal in SEC history. And yeah, I mean, good for them. Picked up a pretty good win against the Kansas State team, so which I really wasn't high on, but yeah, now I'm for sure not high on. But enough talking about that game. We're on to Iowa here, who I really wasn't impressed with the first 2 weeks. Now, Iowa's a team where it's going to be a low scoring game always, no matter what. I mean, you're really never going to see them let up more than. You're never going to see them give up 30 points or more to any team, like, ever. They always have a very, very good defense, and their offense is usually a little lackluster, not the best. And that's kind of the case this year. Now, they did just put up 41, but it was against Western Michigan. And their first 2 weeks, they beat Utah State by 10, I think, and then Iowa State by 10, I'm pretty sure, or close around there. Um, I think, and I'm pretty sure these scores of those games were very similar, kind of like I think it was 24-14 and 23-13 or 24-10 or something like that in both of the games they have played, and then they did just beat Western Michigan 41-10. So the offense looked a little better. I'm not going to give them too much credit. They were losing at the end of the first quarter to Western Michigan. They did pick it up, but yeah, I'm not really too sure what to think about this Iowa team. They're the only undefeated team in the Big Ten West. So, I mean, it's the Big Ten West, though, and you look in the East, you got 5 teams undefeated, which surprisingly, Rutgers is one of them. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, the West is just horrible. But anyways, upcoming game, they are traveling into Happy Valley, uh, Penn State. They are looking very strong this year, and unfortunately, I mean they do say defense travels, but I just don't think their offense is enough to keep up with Penn State. Maybe if it was at Iowa, I would. I feel like if it was at Iowa, Iowa could actually have a pretty good shot at winning, but if it's at Penn State, you know, I can't really see it here in all honesty. So I'm going to take Penn State 28-14. I feel like that's pretty reasonable game scoring game prediction. Number 23, Tennessee falling down 11 spots. Now this was another one of those games I said would be very close, but I did not take the upset. And over the past, I mean, over the first weeks, the games I've been saying will be very close. Have mostly I haven't taken the upset in them, but mostly they have been upsets. I said Clemson Duke would be close. I said Kansas State Missouri would be close. I said this game would be close. I said um, I'm trying to think. I said Utah Baylor would be close. Utah did win, but barely. I said Texas Tech and Oregon would be close. Oregon did win, but barely. So the games I've been pretty good with my predictions. I think so far. Now I have got some wrong, but when I say it's gonna be a close game, it's so far been a very close game. So yeah, Tennessee did not look very good. In all honesty, they got blown out from the get go. It really wasn't close at all. I mean, you look at the Gators were up 26-7 at halftime. I mean, it was embarrassing. Tennessee looked very, very weak. They did not impress me at all. Florida just looked like I mean, they just got dominated in Florida, and they haven't beat Florida in the Swamp in 20 years now or something like that. Um, yeah, Tennessee just not good. I mean, Joe Milton, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. I mean, that's not. It's just they didn't look very good. Florida dominated the entire game, and their quarterbacks threw for 166 yards. They still just dominated. I mean, they had 172 yards to their running back Etienne. He was phenomenal, but yeah, Florida just dominated. I mean, not Penn State. Tennessee just looked outmatched. Really, they did not look strong at all. Now they got a home game against UTSA, and I was thinking because UTSA is usually a pretty good Group of 5 team. I was thinking maybe this could be a close game. I wasn't gonna pick it, even if it was at UTSA. I mean, probably wasn't gonna pick it. So, but I thought about making it close. The difference was, I mean, UTSA lost to Houston and Army, barely beating Texas State. Also, they're not too good this year. So I have them going 1-2. I think Tennessee should be able to rebound pretty nicely. I mean, I hope. Um, they really haven't looked good though in their first 3 games. Um, So yeah, I mean, yeah, embarrassing from Tennessee in all honesty. Miami takes care of business against Bethune-Cookman. I didn't move them. It's not really their fault. They didn't play bad. It's just I kind of thought some teams were uh, that were behind Miami should have went in front. So that's really all I got for Miami. Upcoming game at Temple. I think Miami should be able to take care of business once again. A little. I don't know how good Miami really is, in all honesty, but I have them at 22 because of that win against A&M. So, I mean, yeah, that's really all I gotta say. Number 21, UCLA. They had a dominating win against North Carolina Central, and now they have to go on the road to Utah. Another another team in UCLA. I don't know how good they really are. They haven't really played anyone yet. And looking at this game, it's a 3:30 game. Um, but it is at Utah. Now Utah has a 65% chance to win this according to the ESPN FPI, and Utah's favored by 4.5. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm taking UCLA in an ugly game, uh, because I'm under the assumption that Cam Rising is not playing. If he's playing, then this switches. I think Utah wins. I don't know. I think Cam Rising will be a little rusty if he does play. So if Cam Rising is playing, I'll be taking Utah. We'll say 27 to I don't know, 27 to 20. We'll say that if Cam Rising is playing. But I'm under the assumption he's not playing, so I think UCLA wins in a very ugly game, even though it's at Utah, because Utah starting quarterbacks really have not looked all that great this year. We'll talk about that more once we get to Utah. But yeah, I'm gonna take UCLA if Cam Rising is not playing. If he is, I'll be taking Utah. But um, yeah, so that's where I stand on that game. Another top 25 ranked matchup in the Pac-12. Now Colorado barely escapes Colorado State. Now this is a rivalry game. It was a night game. It was at in Boulder though. Should Colorado really have needed to go to double overtime? No. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a pass because Travis Hunter got injured. Prayers up for him. I hope he's doing alright because he is very fun to watch. But yeah, that was really just unnecessary. I mean, I don't know why you hit a guy way after the play like that. Um, there's really no excuse for that. But yes, I think he's out for a couple weeks now. Um, so that's unfortunate if you're a Colorado fan, which many people are now. But they barely escape against Colorado State now. Colorado State really, in my opinion, should have went for it in that first overtime. I just they should have went for two. I don't know why you kicked the extra point there. I mean, do you really think you're a better team than Colorado? I don't think so. I don't think it's even a question. I think you should have went for two in that first overtime, try to end the game there, and Colorado winning the coin toss. I don't know why you would want to start with the ball either. That was a weird choice to me because after Colorado scored in the first overtime, they I mean Colorado State could have went for two and won the game right there. That would have been huge, but I don't understand the extra point. Colorado's very lucky, I'll say that. Going into Oregon now after the scare game. Maybe it was a trap game because it was a rivalry game, but maybe they were looking ahead to Oregon. I don't really know. going into Oregon, I think this game's a shootout. I think it's a very high-powered offense game, but I think Oregon's the better team here. Originally, I had this Oregon winning by 13. I moved it down a little just because I think Colorado can keep up for a while against Oregon, and I think they make it an interesting game. I just can't really see them winning here. Oregon's favored by 21. That's a little ridiculous to me. Um, I yeah, that's actually I didn't know that till now. That's actually a little crazy to me. 21 points. Um, yeah, no, that's not accurate. At least I don't think. I mean, I do think Oregon is a very good team, but 21 points against a top 20 team is interesting. I don't really know what that's all about. Maybe they know. Maybe it's because Travis Hunter's out. Um, but even then, I mean, I still think Colorado's a good enough team to. I don't know. I think it's a very high-powered offensive game. Ultimately, I think Oregon's the better team. I think they win. 19, we got Washington State. They've been looking very good. I moved them up 4. I know they played Northern Colorado, but their offense looked very, very good. 43 points in the first half. Very impressive. They have a game against Oregon State, and they get it at home. This is a game I'm very, very intrigued. I'm very excited to watch for both of these teams. I want to see exactly how good both these teams are. Now, Oregon State really hasn't been tested. Washington State has. They beat Wisconsin in a dominating fashion. I think Oregon State wins it, but I think it's a very close game. Very competitive, very tight game. Ultimately, I think Oregon State just has a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball, and but I think Washington State fans will get up for this game, and yeah, this should be a very fun, entertaining one to watch. But I think Oregon State should be able to win this one. But I could definitely see it going either way. This is one of my most anticipated games this week. In all honesty, I'm very excited for this game. But I think Oregon State holds on. I think they win here. Number 18, Duke. They take care of business against Northwestern. Who, I mean, they didn't look all that good in the first half. At halftime, it was 17-7. They did pick it up a little in the second. But now they traveled up to Connecticut to face the Huskies, and the Huskies are a scary team. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, Duke should have no problems here at all. I'm not worried in the slightest about any upset potential. UConn is a horrible football team. Basketball, it's a different story, but we're not quite there yet. But I am very excited for basketball, college basketball. I mean, that we'll wait for that to come around. Right now, it's football, so yeah. Number 17, North Carolina. I was actually pretty impressed with their win against Minnesota. North Carolina's kind of a team that's been up and down this year on my feelings. They started off with a very impressive win against South Carolina. I thought that would be a lot closer. I think it was at South Carolina too, and North Carolina dominated them. Then they have a scare against App State, and then they go out there and beat a Minnesota team who's not. I mean, they're not horrible. It's a Big Ten team. They're not. They're not bad. I think they're a pretty good team. But yeah, North Carolina looked pretty good, and Drake May though hasn't been too impressive to start the year. In all honesty, he's been. I mean, similar to the team, he's been kind of inconsistent. He has 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year so far. Um, they go at Pitt, which I think in my season preview I had Pitt winning this game. Unfortunately, Pitt is 1-2 now. They're not looking all that great, and yeah, I mean they lose to West Virginia. I'll give them a bye, or not a bye. I'll give them a pass on that one. just because of the rivalry. It was on the road at West Virginia, but losing to Cincinnati at home for Pitt, that's just not a good look. Good win for Cincinnati, but I don't know. I thought Pitt would be a pretty decent team. I think I had them 8-4 or 7-5. I think North Carolina should be able to win this game. I think it was close for a little, but I think North Carolina should be able to pull away and get a win here. Moving on, number 16, Oklahoma, and this was a team. This is a team that I've been very, very impressed with to start the year. They haven't played anyone, I know that, but they they've been looking good. Their offense has been looking very dominant. Now I know they did have a struggle win last week against SMU, but they have a nice bounce back game against Tulsa. Now they go at Cincinnati. Um, this is an interesting one. I think Oklahoma welcomes Cincinnati to the Big 12 though, and I think they have a dominating win. And I kind of wanted to move Oklahoma higher in all honesty. The problem is the 15 teams ahead of them. I just couldn't rank Oklahoma any higher than this, but I wanted to. Um, I just I think I couldn't find it any sort of way to say that Oklahoma's better than the 15 teams ahead of them. So I had to keep them at 16. But yeah, if I'm an Oklahoma fan, I would be very happy and very excited for what the potential for this season holds. Because I mean, they have a very high ceiling. I'll say that. Number 15, Ole Miss. They had a little bit of a struggle win against Georgia Tech. Now the final score won't tell you the whole story here. Yeah, so I was watching. I don't know. I don't remember what game I was watching, but I remember checking a bunch of scores and seeing this game being close, and um, I was a little confused. I was like, really, Georgia Tech? It's not a very good team. Yeah, it was like a 7 point game in the fourth quarter. Ole Miss did end up having a very good fourth quarter when I started watching. But yeah, I'm moving up two here. A little bit of a struggle, but you know they they figured it out. Even though it was in the fourth, but they did figure it out. Now they go at Alabama. Now this was a game I thought I would be taking Alabama, but in all honesty, with their QB situation and their team not looking very good, I'm taking Ole Miss to win. I mean, I've been more impressed with Ole Miss in all honesty than Alabama this year. Ole Miss beating Tulane on the road, that was very impressive to me. Tulane is a very good team, and Alabama losing to Texas, okay, that's I mean Texas is a very good team, but their performance last week, it was just bad, and this just leads me right into Alabama at 14, moving down 5. They were tied at halftime 3-3. Um, not a not a good game at all for them. Milroe got benched before the game. He was not in there playing, and I think he is their best QB just because of his ability to run and his athleticism. But like, man, they just look bad. It's South Florida. I mean, come on. There's no world where you have a close game with them as Alabama. So yeah, I'm taking Ole Miss to win. I think it will be close. I don't know. Alabama's looking bad. I think it will be close just because it's at Alabama. But like, I don't know. Ole Miss has been way more. Alabama's just been bad. They just have not been impressive at all. So I'm taking Ole Miss. Number 13, LSU moving up one. And I was very impressed with their performance this week. I thought Mississippi State would keep it close and maybe even win. Maybe I was just underrating LSU a little bit. I probably was. Yeah, I was very impressed with LSU. They looked pretty good in this game. I was not expecting them to come out there and blow them out like they did. They got a home game against Arkansas. I think LSU should be able to win. I think it'll be Arkansas will hang around for a little. Arkansas is not a bad team. They're 2-1, but I think LSU will ultimately come out with the win here. Um, and yeah, that's all I got for LSU. Number 12, Oregon State moving up 3 spots. No real reason for this high of a climb for them. Just I felt I had them a little too low before. I'm very high on Oregon State this year. They did struggle. I mean, not really. They didn't look too amazing against San Diego State, but they did end up winning 26-9. And we kind of already talked about this game. I think they'll win close against Washington State on the road, but this could a game that could definitely go either way. Number 11, Utah. They did struggle a little against Weber State without their starting quarterback. And again, we talked about this game. I think UCLA wins if they're without Cam Rising. They just don't look good on offense without him, in all honesty. I hope he can play because that would be very disappointing for Utah to lose this early. I know a lot of people have high hopes for them, and they're a very good team, but without their starting quarterback, it definitely hurts them a lot. So yeah, I think UCLA wins if Cam Rising doesn't play. If he does play, I think Utah should win, but I think it'll be close just because he'll be a little bit rusty from not playing for a while. But yeah, I, I'm under the assumption he's not playing, so I'm taking UCLA. Number 10, Oregon, dominating win against Hawaii as it should be, 34-3 at halftime. They looked very good. Again, another game we talked about. Another Pac-12 game we talked about. I think Oregon wins this in a shootout style game, but I think Oregon's just the better team, and this is. But I think Colorado can keep it close. I don't know. I just think Oregon's way. They just have way more talent. Well, Colorado has a lot of talent. Oregon just. I think their team is by far better, in all honesty. So, yeah, I'm going to take Oregon. Number 9, Notre Dame. Um, they struggle a little against Central Michigan. I think they were just looking ahead to Ohio State. They did pick it up in the second half. And if you look at their schedule on the red side of the screen, they've scored over 40 in all 4 of their games and been very impressive both sides of the ball. Going into NC State and winning by 21, I was impressed. Very impressed by that one. And yeah, Notre Dame's been looking very, very good to start the year. But this is the game everyone's been talking about for both of these teams. I mean, Ohio State hasn't played anyone. Notre Dame's played at NC State, and I guess Navy because it's a rivalry game, but Navy's not a very good team. NC State isn't that good either. I did think that game would be close, but, you know. So really, this is the first test for both of these teams. And I'll talk about Ohio State's side more when I get to Ohio State. For Notre Dame, this is a huge advantage having this game at home. This is by far the game of the week, in my opinion. I don't see any other game that's better than this one. There is a lot of good games, but this one is the best. It's the closest, I think. It might not be the most fun to watch. I'll talk about that in a second, but for Notre Dame, it's a huge advantage having them at home. They haven't beat Ohio State since, I don't know. I mean, I think it's been almost 100 years. The last time they won, they were at home. And this is their first time against Ohio State where I'm very worried for the Buckeyes. Just because Notre Dame's been looking very good to start the year, and Ohio State really hasn't. Now, last week they looked better. I'll talk about that more when I get to Ohio State. But at Notre Dame is very, very tough, especially with how they've been looking. This is a game I think will be low scoring. Both these teams, I think, are gonna want to run the ball and trust their defenses. Their defenses have both looked very good, and Ohio State's run game and Notre Dame usually likes to run the ball and win with defense, which has been hurting Ohio State when they've played Michigan because that's what Michigan does. A lot of teams they think they gotta pass the ball to keep up with Ohio State, but that's exactly what Ohio State wants you to do. They want you to throw the ball. They don't want to. They want to get back on the field with their offense. That's not what Michigan does, and they've been very successful against us recently just because they stick to what they're good at, and they don't switch anything just because they're playing against Ohio State in their offense. Notre Dame is a team they usually um, have a very good defense. They like to win with their defense. They like to slow the game down. I don't really know. I mean, Sam Hartman has looked very good. He really has. I don't know how their running games look. I think they have. I think they have been pretty good through 4 games. I don't know this guy's name. Audric Estime. I think it's Estime. I think I've heard of him. He's been very good. Through 4 games, he has 521 yards, 5 touchdowns. So yeah, Notre Dame's gonna want to run the ball, but the difference is they can pass this year. They have a very good, very solid quarterback. Now Sam Hartman is known for letting down in big games. That's what I've kind of noticed with him at Wake Forest. Ohio State has a 66% chance to win this game. They're favored by 3.5. I think Notre Dame covers. I'm gonna take Ohio State. Um, I was kind of on Notre Dame side. I just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's hard to explain this without mentioning Ohio State. Um, I think Ohio State wins by 3. Um, this one definitely could go either way, and I'm very worried for Ohio State because Notre Dame's been very, very good. But I don't know. Yeah, we'll talk more about Ohio State's side once we get there. Penn State moving down 1. Not really anything they did, just a team behind them I wanted ahead of them. Um, they didn't. They looked okay against Illinois. It was at Illinois. I predicted this game to be a little close, just because I thought Illinois' defense could give them problems for a little bit. And if Illinois had any sort of offense whatsoever, they could have been in this game for sure, especially in the first half. I think they had like 4 turnovers in the first half or something. They just were bad on offense. But they definitely could have had a chance against Penn State here. Ultimately, Penn State did end up winning, but yeah, I kind of talked about this. I think Penn State is just a lot better than Iowa. I think they benefit huge from having it at home. I think they win. Washington was very impressive. They went into Michigan State. They went into East Lansing and won in dominating fashion. I thought this game would be a whole lot closer than it was. Um, yeah, Washington looked very, very good, scoring 35 in the first half. They went in. I mean, they just dominated them from start to finish. I was very impressed. I think they dominate Cal. And Washington's a team that I think is being slept on around around the college football world. They've looked very, very good. Um, they were my pick to win the Pac-12, and I, so far, I think that's fair. Another Pac-12 team, number 6 USC, who also has looked very good. They were on a bye last week, so this is week two's game, because they did play in week 0. So, but yeah, this is week two's game technically. Now they go at Arizona State. I think they got a lot of time to rest, and I think they should be able to win in dominating fashion here. Number 5, Ohio State. Now I was very impressed with them. Now I mean, it's Western Kentucky, so this should have happened. And in the first quarter, we didn't look great, but Kyle McCord relaxed, relaxed a little bit, took a deep breath, and we scored 35 points in the second quarter. Really, just unleashing all our weapons on Western Kentucky, and I mean, the defense looked better in the second half. The offense looked very good throughout the game. The running game was amazing. The passing game was amazing. And Kyle McCord's first game being the definitive QB1, I was very impressed with him. He looked good. I think with throughout the season, I've been saying this. I think he'll be better and better. And with his first game being the definitive starter, I think he was very impressive. So I think that benefits him being the starter now, uh, being named the starter. I think that benefits the team, and yeah, I think that was a very good win for them. They didn't struggle. I mean, they did for a quarter, but they picked it up, and the defense is looking very good. And I said I would talk about this. I will. Ohio State has given me a resurgence of hope with the game they just played. Now I know they played Western Kentucky, so you can say what you want about them. They're not very good, I know, but they give me a resurgence of hope just because their defense is looking like a top defense in the country. And again, they haven't played anyone yet. We'll see how they do at Notre Dame. That's going to be a very good test for them. I think this is a slow, defensive, not very pass heavy. I think it's run heavy, defensive game. And I think Ohio State, this year, I think they have what it takes to win that kind of game. Now, most other years, I wouldn't say so, but their running game's looking very good, and their defense is once again looking like a top one in the country, which is exciting. They haven't had one of those since Chase Young and Jeff Okuda in 2019. Um, they had an okay one in 2020, but the past 2 years have not been great defensively. This year they're looking a lot better. We'll see how they do against a good team. Yeah, but they give me. I was going in the first through until up until Saturday, like before Saturday, I was Notre Dame's gonna win this game. That's all I was thinking. But Ohio State's giving me a resurgence of hope. McCord looked good in his debut game as the official starting QB, and I think Ohio State wins. But this could definitely go either way. Florida State moving down one with a scare against Boston College, and this is not the game where they started out slow, but they came back in the second half and did what needed to be done. No, they were up early. Well, they were losing at the end of the first. They were up at halftime, 17-10. This was a game. In the last video, I said, "Oh, I think for some reason I thought this would be a close game because I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about this game." And then I ended up taking Florida State to blow them out because I looked at Boston College and I'm thinking, this is not a very good team. I mean, I mean when you look at what they've done this year, they're just not. They're just not a good. I mean, really, they're just not a good team. I mean, in week one, when you look at their schedule in week one, they lose to Northern Illinois, and then in week two they beat Holy Cross by 3. I mean, Florida State, you cannot be in this close of a game with Boston College. Uh, they had a good they had a good third quarter, so I guess they came out of the half. Yeah, they were up 31-10 at one point, and Boston College just came storming back. They almost won. Um, there was a point in there where I was thinking Florida State might lose this game. Um, ultimately, I mean, Boston College had the ball with an opportunity at the end of this game. Um, yeah, yeah. Florida State looked bad. They didn't look good, so I dropped them down one. Going into Clemson, based on that performance, they didn't look good. But they are. I mean, I'm not too high on Clemson either. I think it could be a tough. Maybe they were looking ahead. Maybe that's what it was. I really don't know. They just didn't look very good. Um, Now I'm gonna make an argument once I get to Michigan. Um, but this will come back. We'll talk about this. Texas, another team struggling. This, I mean, all of our top four teams had struggle weeks. We'll get to that. Yeah, Texas, I had them bumped. I bumped them ahead of Florida State. Um, I don't know. Texas is. I feel like they play down to their competition or something. Cause I mean, they were. It was 10. It was 10-10. It was tied in the fourth quarter to a Wyoming team, who they did beat Texas Tech. So I guess I. I mean, I guess they're not horrible, but it's not like it was on the road. I mean, you should not be tied with Wyoming going into the fourth quarter. You're the number three team in the country now. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Wyoming's not. I mean, they're. I guess they're looking okay with a win over Texas Tech, a team that almost beat Oregon. Probably should have beat Oregon, and now close game against Texas. Maybe Wyoming's the team. I don't know, but yeah, Texas. This should not be happening. If I mean, it's just not a good look. Being tied with Wyoming going into the fourth, and it was at home too. That's just bad. I think they get a. I don't know. I think it will be close, just because I feel like Texas again. I think they play down, and it's at Baylor, but I think Texas should be able to win. Number two, Georgia, team that was losing 14-3 at halftime to South Carolina, who is now 1-2. And they were losing at halftime, and they got dominated in the first half. Now they came out in the second half, figured some things out, and looked better. But even in the second half, they didn't look all that amazing. Now that is what you want to see from a team that everyone believes is a national championship contender. I'm not ready to say that yet. But yeah, I mean that is what you want to see. You're down 11 at halftime. You hold the opposing team to 0 points and end up winning by 10. Upcoming game, home against UAB, that should be an easy win. But Carson Beck did not look good, and I'm worried about this Georgia team. Um, I am. Michigan, a team that struggled once again against Bowling Green. J.J. McCarthy threw 3 interceptions, so he was not. They. I don't know what it was about this week. Everyone was saying, "Oh, this week's horrible. There's no good games." Everyone seemed to struggle, and Michigan now has held all three of their opponents to under 7 points and have scored over 30 points in all their games. But in all honesty, in all three of their games, they haven't looked too good. J.J. McCarthy has 700 yards in 3 games. I don't know what that puts him at average, but it doesn't sound too good. I think it's about 233. That's not all that amazing. He had 3 interceptions against Bowling Green. That should not be happening at all. Corum had a nice game, so I guess there's that. But he always does. Their running game's always gonna be top tier. But yeah, so and then their upcoming game, home against Rutgers, they should be able to win. I don't know. Rutgers is 3-0. Maybe they could keep it close for a little. Michigan hasn't looked too good. I mean, they struggled with a home game against Bowling Green, The argument I want to bring up on is maybe I'm just a crazy Ohio State fan. Maybe I'm just delusional, but everyone seems to keep on saying how they want to bring up Ohio State struggling. Let me remind you of some teams around the country. Start off right here with Michigan, a team who was in a close game for a half at home against Bowling Green. They were at home. It wasn't like it was a road game, even if it was a road game. If Ohio State was played a team like on par with Bowling Green, I don't know, Youngstown State, they did play them. If Ohio State was in a close game for the first half with Youngstown State and Kyle McCord threw 3 interceptions, that's all anyone would talk about. If Ohio State was down 14-3 against a team like South Carolina, so we'll say who's a team like South Carolina in the Big Ten, kind of on the equal level. I don't know. Uh, Michigan State, Maryland. If Ohio State was losing 14-3 at home in the shoe against one of those teams, everyone would be talking about it. If Ohio State was at home, tied up in the going into the fourth quarter against Wyoming, that's all I would be talking about. If Ohio State played a team on par with Boston College, I don't know. We'll say I feel like Illinois. That's a fair. Maybe Purdue. Probably Purdue. I think Illinois is better than Boston College. If Ohio State played Purdue and won by 2, it's all anyone would be talking about. So I just want to say that I think that's a pretty good argument. Uh, I feel like Ohio State's being a little bit overrated. I think it's getting a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, people are having Ohio State at like 8. That's absurd. Not being behind Penn State. Now I could see an argument for maybe Washington or USC ahead of them, but that's really it. I feel like 7's the lowest you could go with them, the absolute lowest. There's no argument for anyone else over them. I don't see it one. So yeah, that's gonna be my it's gonna be a video. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Of course, my X and my Discord are linked in the description. You can follow that. You can join that. Whatever you want to do. I hope you guys enjoyed. These are my favorite videos to make, so I apologize for talking a little too long. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. This is my week 4 top 25 college football rankings, and enjoy a great week of college football. It's looking to be by far the best week so far this year, and I don't know. There's a lot of good games, so enjoy it. It's gonna be a very fun week. It's gonna say a lot about a lot of teams around the country. So yeah, enjoy it. Watch as many games as you can, and yeah.